Welcome back to part 2 of 10 great books that I think you should look at because of the valuable lessons that they come with. Coming up. And before we continue, please don't forget to subscribe and like this channel. So we stopped at book number 5 and then we're going to book number 6. So book number 6 is by Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So this is a book, it's a personal finance book where he talks about the lessons he learned from his father, his poor dad and his rich dad. He learned how to live his life and how not to live his life. So this book, one of the lessons you learn from this book is financial literacy is very, very important. You have to learn how to handle money even before you start handling money. So it is important you become literate financially to make sure you learn how to handle money well. Because he says with illiteracy, irrespective of the amount of money that you have, you're going to lose it. You are likely to lose your money if you're not sure how to handle that. So it is important before you fly a plane to learn how to fly a plane. So another point you can learn from this book is that he gives a very good definition, a very simple definition of what is an asset. So he simply defines an asset as something that puts money in your pocket. There are things that we own in our homes that we think they are assets. For example, you may be thinking your house is an asset or your car is an asset. But if that thing that you think is an asset does not put money in your pocket, according to Kiyosaki, it's not an asset. It's the best definition I've found of an asset. So it's good to differentiate what is an asset and what is not by asking yourself, is it putting money in my pocket or is it taking money away from my pocket? Another lesson you can learn from the book is work to learn, work to acquire skills, because with skills you're likely to increase your chances of earning more in future and you increase your chances again of becoming better financially. So make sure you put education first when you're working, not money. So take a look at the book and see more lessons from it. So book number 7 is The Power of Habits by Charles Duhigg. He argues that human beings are creatures of habits. Habits is a way of brain-saving energy. Imagine if you had to think about everything that you do consciously on a daily basis. For example, when you're eating, you have to think where your mouth is. When you're putting on a sweater, you have to think where to start. So all these tasks that we perform on a daily basis, brain, creates a pattern that is the habit to ensure you don't have to think consciously every now and then when you're doing those tasks. So Charles Duhigg argues that a habit has 3 components. There's whatever he calls habit loop. It has 3 components. The one component is the cue. The cue is what triggers you to do a certain habit. For example, if you're a smoker, when you see another guy smoking, you feel like you want to smoke. Or when you see an advert, displaying some cigarettes somewhere, you feel like smoking. That is the cue. What triggers that habit? And then the second part, what he calls the routine. So when you feel like smoking, the cue, once that trigger is, ignited, there's a routine you go through. So for example, for a smoker, you go buy a cigarette somewhere and start smoking. That is the routine. If, for example, you've missed coffee, you go make coffee. That is the routine that you do to make sure you follow that habit. That component of a habit is what he calls the reward. This is the satisfaction you get from performing that routine or, following a certain habit. So, for example, if it's a smoker, after smoking, most probably they feel good or feel satisfied. So that is the reward you get from following that habit. So he argues that if you want to change a habit, for example, if you want to stop smoking, you have to keep the old cue and change the routine but keep the old reward. For example, when that trigger for smoking comes, the cue, you think of, instead of instead of smoking, you look, for example, for you can decide to take coffee, you can decide to take a walk. You substitute the routine but make sure you also get the old reward. You feel good. So that's how you change habits. So look at the book and see how habits are created, how they are broken, and how you can change your life by getting more knowledge about habits. Book number 8 is Influence, with a subtitle The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert C. So he argues that there's a way we influence others, or there's a way we persuade others to perform favorably, or there is a way even others persuade us or influence us to to perform in a certain way. So you learn about how to influence others from this book, and there are several laws, of influencing others. One of the laws that you learn from this book is what we call the law of reciprocity. So simply, he argues that we act favorably to people who act favorably towards us. So if people do nice things to us, we also want to do nice things to them. Another thing you learn from the book is about making commitments. So when we make commitment, especially in public, we are likely to stick to them even when they do not make sense. Reason being, we want to appear coherent, we want to appear sane to the people, to the public, and to the people we made, that promise to. So be very careful when you're making promises in public, because sometimes you'll be forced to stick with them even when they don't make sense to you, or even when they are against your value system or whatever you believe in. So be careful when you make your commitments, because it can be trickier sometimes. So another thing you learn from the book is how we learn what is good and what is not, what he calls the principle of consensus. So when we are deciding what is good and what is not, we look at what majority, are doing, and then we decide whether that thing is good or bad. So that way, that principle of consensus, sometimes we learn good things. It can be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. So be very careful when you're deciding whether something is good or bad. Don't look at the majority and then assume that they're doing the right thing. It is not always the right way of forming habits. So be careful when you're evaluating some of the things that people are doing, because some people, the world has become crazy, and you might find yourself copying crazy stuff. So look at the book and learn more about how to influence others and how you'll protect yourself from being influenced in a bad way or in a negative way. Book number 9 is The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller. This is a guy who has built a multi-million business in real estate. So he's sharing his own personal experiences on how, to go about building such an empire. So you learn, how to develop yourself as an agent, or as an individual, as a business person, and you'll also learn how, to build your businesses, the systems, all the things that are required to build a big business and how to run such a business. So you learn what he calls the 3 L's in real estate. He talks about, leads and listings and leverage. So go read the book and learn more about those 3 L's of real estate. Another thing you learn from the book is that he says that personal development is an endless journey. You have to keep on developing yourself to make sure you get better, and you have to do that until the end of your life here. It's an endless journey. Keep doing it, keep improving, keep trying to get better. So another lesson you learn from the book is, you should work on your business, not in your business. That is what he advocates. You should try and hire the right people, use the right system, use leverage to make sure, your business can function without you. So to make sure you give yourself time to focus on the right thing or the things that matter. So hire people to, for example, to take care of your administrative work as you focus on, dealing with your clients. So that book has precious information which can be applied in other businesses. So get to look at it and learn more about how to build great businesses. The last book I recommend you read is the Bible. I cannot overemphasize the importance of this, because most of you know the book. You know the valuable lessons you get from this book about love, about respect, about living with others, handling money, especially in the book of Proverbs. It has a lot of wisdom. There's a lot you can learn from this book, and I hope this doesn't sound like preachment. Even without taking the religious approach, of reading the Bible, there's a lot you can learn from this book, how to live, how to navigate in this life. So I'll not ever emphasize on this one. I'll leave it to your pastor to do that. But it's a book that you want to read and, apply the lessons that are in it. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you will look at these books and, apply. The most important part is not the quantity of books that you read. You can read a few books and still change your life. So it's not a quantity. It's not about reading a book a week or, a book a day. That is not very, very important. The most important thing is you can read just one book and change your life. So the most important thing is read and apply the knowledge that comes from that book. Because if you don't do that, it becomes a waste. You can even read a single book as many times as possible, because what happens, you don't see what was missing in the book when you read a book the second time. You see what was missing in you. So read a book as many times as possible and apply and try, apply the knowledge in it. So I wish you all the best. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this page, and share with others. See you next time.